And we told you at the top of the show that, you know, it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also Anti-Bullying Month. And we have a special guest in the studio.
Yes, we do, and I hope that I say her name right because she's just such an amazing woman and has such an amazing story to tell, great testimony. Shondia McFadden-Sabari?
That's right.
I got it right. How you doing?
Fine, how are you?
You look incredible. Let me just say, before we even start, can you tell everyone what your shirt says?
We're streaming.
Great.
V-103.com, log on, and you can see Shondia right now. Tell everyone what your shirt says.
I scared the hell out of cancer, so it took my breasts and left.
I absolutely, like, when she walked in, was like, I love that you embrace the fact that you went through this and you're always going to be different. You know, physically you're going to look different than you did before, but you are, you know, kind of taking it on the chin and moving forward. Tell us about your diagnosis, because a lot of women, our telltale sign is look for lumps or look for discomfort, or maybe you see, you know, some, you know, discoloration around your nipple, and those are warning signs to go get it looked at. But you had none.
I had no symptoms, no lumps, no discharge, no clue, none whatsoever. And I remember the day, it was a Thursday. I was leaning over in my closet, putting on a pair of boots to get ready to go to the dollar store, and I had this thought that popped up in my head that I needed to go get a mammogram. I didn't hear any voices, didn't see any shadows, so no, I'm not crazy.
Right.
And it was just a thought. And so that very next day, I went to my gynecologist, and I told her about the thought, and she says, well, okay, normally we don't do mammograms until 40, but we'll go ahead and we'll do one. I did the mammogram. A week later, I received a letter in the mail that they saw calcifications and changes in tissue. I didn't know what that meant, and so I had to do a repeat. And after the repeat, they did a biopsy, and it was confirmed 2 days before Christmas. I had 2 different types of cancer in my right breast, 2 different stages of cancer in my left breast. My oncologist said that it was probably there for at least 1 to 2 years, and one of the types that I had was DCIS, and sometimes with that type of cancer, you don't have lumps. So it's very important, it's urgent that, you know, women get mammograms.
And you say, though, People Station V103, we have Shondia McFadden-Sabari, who's a breast cancer survivor, here on the show with us. You say, though, I mean, that's kind of the custom thing. Start getting mammograms around 40. That's when it's important. There's been a lot of debate on whether mammograms work, whether they don't, whether you need to have them every year, every 2 years, what you are supposed to do. You just kind of had a whim at 36 years old to go.
I had a thought, you know, I believe in God, so I believe that it was the Holy Spirit that prompted me to go and get that mammogram. If you have a family history, for instance, if a mother or a sister was diagnosed, then the rule of thumb is you should get tested 10 years prior to the age that they were diagnosed. I found out, this is the thing, what's interesting though, February 2010, I found out that my paternal grandmother is a breast cancer survivor, and I wasn't raised up with my father or my father's side of the family. So I went to get a mammogram then, and I was given a hard time. They told me that I was fine, that I had some fibrocystic changes. Now, this was just in February of 2010.
So a year before you were diagnosed?
No, months later.
Oh,
February
months later.
2010 was when I had the very first one, and they gave me the hard time about getting that one. And that was actually in South Carolina because we were military, so my husband's military. And so then December 2010, just months after February 2010, December 2010 was when I had that thought. And I was diagnosed. But in February, they told me I was fine. And the difference being is that in February, the type of mammogram they did was an analog. In December, it was a digital. So the digital mammograms are the most accurate mammograms.
We got about 30 seconds left here. Shondia, I know I've met you a couple of times, and we said we was going to make this happen, so we're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
In like 30 seconds, what would you like to say to all the women that are listening right now?
Don't let fear stop you from getting a mammogram. Early detection is the key, and having breast cancer is not a death sentence. You know, I feel like cancer took my breast, but not my sexy. You know, it didn't take my self-esteem. It didn't take my life. It didn't cause me a day of pain. So especially if you have a family history, go and get checked. You know, that's important.
We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me so much.
Thank you. I saw your tweet.
Okay.
It's V103.
Love your spirit.